Monarchy. Definition: a system of government where the ruler, called a monarch, serves as the head of state for life or until abdication. Types: constitutional monarchy. Monarch's powers are limited by a constitution, often symbolic with elected officials holding real power. Absolute monarchy. Monarch has unchecked authority, serving as the sole ruler. Succession. Monarchies typically use hereditary succession, often leading to dynasties where power is passed within families. Aristocracy. Definition: translated from Greek as rule of the best, where power is held by a privileged, small group of elite individuals. Purpose and ideal: intended to ensure only the most capable individuals govern, with emphasis on qualities like virtue, wisdom, or merit. Comparison to oligarchy. While aristocracy is ideally based on merit, oligarchy is often seen as a corruption of aristocracy, where wealth or inheritance, rather than ability, determines rule. Democracy. Definition: derived from Greek, meaning rule of the people, where citizens hold the ultimate political power, often through voting. Types: direct democracy. Citizens vote directly on laws and decisions, often in smaller communities. Representative democracy. Citizens elect representatives who make decisions on their behalf. Parliamentary democracy. Citizens elect members of parliament, who then choose the head of government, allowing the head to stay in power as long as they have parliamentary support. Presidential democracy. The president is elected by the people directly and acts as both head of state and head of government, independent of parliamentary confidence. Theocracy. Definition: a government where ruling authorities are considered divinely guided and often act as intermediaries between a deity and the populace. Historical example: ancient Egypt, where pharaohs were believed to be connected to gods like Horus and Osiris. Authority: religious leaders interpret divine will, sometimes with political power centralized under religious doctrines. Technocracy. Definition: a form of government where decision-makers are selected based on scientific or technical expertise rather than popular vote. Purpose: technocrats, such as scientists or engineers, make policy decisions aiming to solve social and economic issues scientifically. Philosophy. Advocates argue that technocracy minimizes political bias, focusing on empirical data and research-driven approaches to governance. Oligarchy. Definition: a system where a small, often elite group exercises control, sometimes indirectly by influencing the head of state or, in some cases, directly. Philosophical justifications. Pareto principle argues that a minority will naturally dominate, as 20% of the population is thought to drive 80% of productivity. Iron law of oligarchy suggests that large organizations will inevitably develop oligarchic tendencies, as a small ruling group eventually consolidates power. Totalitarianism. Definition: an extreme form of authoritarianism where a single leader or party controls all aspects of public and private life. Methods of control relies on massive propaganda, state-controlled media, and strict adherence to an official ideology. Leadership, often governed by a dictator who shapes societal norms, controls education, arts, and even individual morality. Republic. Definition: a state where political power is vested in representatives elected or appointed by citizens, in contrast to hereditary monarchy. Role of elections. Representatives may be freely selected based on status, with citizens sometimes having limited electoral participation. Modern variations. In some republics, representatives are chosen through open elections, while in others, only elites or certain classes participate, maintaining control over governance. Confederation. Definition: an alliance of regional governments united under a weak central authority to address shared concerns. power structure, regional governments retain considerable power and independence, often superior to the central authority, which exists mainly to support its members. Purpose: confederations often form to handle joint defense or economic concerns, with a treaty outlining the relationship and responsibilities. Feudalism. Definition: a hierarchical system centered on land ownership and loyalty, where land is exchanged for service or support. Structure: overlords provide land to vassals in return for military support or other services, creating a pyramid with the king and church at the top and peasants at the base. Social contract: in exchange for protection and land to work, peasants offer labor and a share of their produce to their lords. Socialist State. Definition: a state driven by the ideology of state socialism, aiming for collective ownership of production by the working class. Government role ranges from complete state ownership of production and distribution to a system where state policies prioritize social values and worker interests. Objectives: often seeks to redistribute wealth and ensure equal access to resources by limiting capitalist influences on economic and social structures. Kleptocracy. Definition: a government led by corrupt leaders who exploit political power for personal wealth, often secretly and illegally. Methods: leaders engage in bribery, embezzlement, and the siphoning of state funds to offshore accounts. Characteristics: unlike plutocracy, kleptocrats conceal their actions, enriching themselves outside legal frameworks, often going unpunished due to lack of oversight. Anarchy. Definition: a system without a central authority or government, prioritizing individual freedom and self-governance. Philosophy: anarchists oppose centralized institutions, which they view as oppressive, and advocate for voluntary associations as alternatives. Characteristics: the focus is on self-management, autonomy, and the elimination of state-imposed structures. Corporatocracy. Definition: a government structure that intervenes in the economy to benefit select corporations, often stifling competition through legislation. Variant: lemon socialism, refers to state financial support for failing companies, allowing them to stay in the market despite poor performance. Critique: corporatocracy is criticized for prioritizing corporate profit over public welfare, often leading to regulatory capture where corporations influence lawmaking. Communist state. Definition: a one-party state aiming for socialism with aspirations toward a stateless, classless society under communism. Governance method: often uses democratic centralism, where decisions once made are no longer open to debate, ensuring unity and efficiency in action. Goal: seeks a gradual transition to communism, eliminating private property and redistributing resources equally among citizens. Geniocracy. Definition: a system where political participation, both for leaders and voters, is restricted by an intelligence threshold. Critique of democracy: argues that traditional democracies focus on popularity over competence, which may hinder critical, long-term decision-making. Philosophy: advocates believe that intelligence-based leadership leads to better governance and more sustainable policies. Demarchy. Definition: a system where public officials are chosen randomly rather than elected, aiming to reduce bias and influence from political campaigns. Noocracy. Definition: authority is granted to the most knowledgeable or wise individuals, traditionally philosophers or theologians. Purpose: aims to have leaders with deep understanding and wisdom to make informed and ethical decisions. Philosophy: Noocracy values intellectual and moral qualities over popularity, seeing governance as a duty for the well-informed rather than the most well-liked. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more videos like this. See you next time.